as tributes continue in for veteran actor Jamie Bartlett, who passed away on Monday. Now, the actor was best known for his roles as villain David Genaro in the ETV soapie Rhythm City, and of course, as many would have come to know him back in the day as dodgy Mike O'Reilly in SABC 3's soapie Isidingo. The award-winning actor was also a judge on the reality competition show SA's Got Talent. So just to talk more about and reflect on the life and times of Jamie Bartlett, and also perhaps some details about a memorial and funeral service arrangements, we're joined by family spokesperson Zola Hashatsi and fellow actor and friend of Jamie Bartlett, Sello Maake Ka-Ncube. Gentlemen, thanks so much for speaking to us this morning, and let me start by offering my condolences on behalf of all of us here at Morning Live to both of you.
Yep. Thank you, Sakina, and condolences to the Bartlett family. You know, what a loss, You know, yeah, it is a very difficult time, you know, to lose such a giant in the acting fraternity. You know, Jamie was larger than life. And you see him, you know, television, yes, you know, he has done his thing, but watch him on stage. That man, the way he would fill the theater was just mind-blowing and mind-boggling. And he just, you know, just captured, and he captures you even in real life. I mean, when he speaks, he embraces you with his soul. He embraced every role that he played with his soul, with his everything, with his. I mean, looking at a giant like this, you know, you know, the clip that you just played now reminded me of, like, here's this giant, but the vulnerability that he would actually exude when he's playing his role, and even just in real life. I mean, he was quite a character, I must say, also, you know. But Jamie, you could take him anywhere. You take him to Soweto, he will just blend in as if, and he would never even want special treatment. He was a special kind of actor.
Special indeed. And Zola, you know, just continuing to remember who Jamie was, actor, producer, close family friend yourself. You know, as Sello says, that was all Jamie. He was heart, he was soul, and he carried that on his sleeves. One of the things about him, you know, when people give you a hug, sometimes it's just, quick, pat, you know, going through the motions. Yeah. But not Jamie. You felt the realness, his soul in everything that he did.
Good morning, Sakina. Good morning to the viewers. And good morning, Uncle Sello. Jamie was a human being first. You know, it's very insane to be speaking about him in past tense sense. But as you said, he was present. You know, he was there. He authentically cared. You know, they say an actor prepares. He was always, as Uncle Sello said, he was always in character. And yes, you're right. When he will give you that hug, he was invested. He was present. You know, he was a special soul. Funny you should say that. You can take him anywhere. He was right here by this couch a month ago. We were sitting here in Soweto. He was interested and he was interesting. You know, he loved the Go-Go's, the Mamas. You know, back in the days, we used to have the tours on the other channel. It was beautiful. He blended in. I was saying to Uncle Sello off camera that him and Jamie are the only two people I know that would get on stage and do monologues, and the crowd will just, people literally fainted when these two legends were in the room or in the space. And we, unfortunately, you know, we this industry doesn't respect and neither love us to give legends like him and Sello flowers whilst they're still alive, but they can go and do the stupid 22 million flag.
Yeah. And that, of course, is, you know, another controversy for another day. But you're
yeah.
absolutely right. And it becomes so much more pivotal at a time like this when we are losing people, as you say, when we could have given them their flowers while they are still alive there. I just want to read a message that someone, one of the many legions of fans put out, says, Eish, JB was our very own Stefano Damera, Wase, South Africa.
Yeah.
And this was his farewell. And we were all sad. And on that day, but at least we knew that we were still going to see him. But now he is gone and we will never see him again. My heart is broken. And these are messages from ordinary South Africans from all walks of life. And it speaks to, it's testimony to the person that he was, Sello.
It does. And, I remember, I think I was, we're doing... was Albert, I think, in Canada, and a reviewer, somebody that I had a journalist that I had an interview with, said about me that I was wearing. In fact, I'm the kind of person who had his subconscious under his skin, which it wasn't really that deep. Everything was just on the surface, almost. And for me, Jamie was that kind of a person who had lived with his subconsciousness just under his skin. It was never hidden away. He was open, clear, and he represented, somebody once said that, acting is like priesthood, and it is a calling. And I think he was called for this. And also as a priest. And I think one thing that actors do is that we preach the religion of the human condition. And Jamie, when you saw him in his performances, he was actually giving you another testament of somebody in life and somebody that represented something that we can identify with as human beings.
Indeed. And Brasilo, just your first encounter with Jamie. Can you take us back to that moment, when you first met him?
Wow. The first time I met him, I think it probably must have been like in the late 80s, early 90s. And he had just, I think, just graduated from UCT, and he was doing a play with Bunny Simon, which was an English play. And I remember just looking at him, feeling his presence. And even when he came out of the show, every time when he, "Hi, Sello, how are you doing, man? How are you doing, my mate?" And he would just embrace you. And his love and relationship was just the same. He had, I don't know if anybody, or Jamie had a grudge with anybody, but he was a very strong character and he fought very hard. In fact, there was a time when I wanted to I was directing a play, but I was warned because I was still a young emerging director, I think in 2000, and I was going to direct Closer. And I wanted to cast him, and the associate director then said to me, "Sello, I don't think you want that problem. You won't be able to handle Jamie." And I think I wouldn't have had, but maybe now, because I think I've kind of grown and matured in my own way. And, we kind of like see each other. But Jamie was not an easy person. He was not easy, but he was easy.
He was not easy, but he was easy, and he was lovable, and he was gentle, and he was constant.
Absolutely.
More than anything, Zola. He was constant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thing is, like good wine, Jamie was like that wine we left in the cellar. It was fine. They say an actor prepares. Jamie came prepared. As we were saying, Uncle Sello, off camera also, Jamie would come, hit his mark, square up, and deliver. And deliver. There's no amount of SAFTAs and Reality Soapie Awards. When we do the Lord's Prayer and say, "Our Father who art in heaven," he came and uttered on earth. He gave himself. They don't make them like Jamie anymore. They'll never. He was great. He was in character on and offset.
Ageko ofana naye. That's
So
what you can say. Yeah, ageko ofana naye. And Jamie.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a time when there was this whole thing that me and Jamie we are the highest paid actors, and this guy said, "Sello, I hear you act more than me. Now what's that?"
and bear in mind, Rhythm City was here, Scandal was here, same building.
Yeah. No.
You would literally walk down to your set.
And he said, "No, that's not fair, mate. It's not fair. Not fair."
And that's I think what endeared him to everybody who came across him. One of you said, I think it was you, Prasilo, who said, I don't know anybody who had any sort of problem, difficulty with Jamie, because he was just that honest, that authentic in who he was, never tried to be anything other than himself, and that's what endeared him to us. But Zola, just in terms of the family, because as you said, it's so difficult to think we're speaking of him in the past tense. How are they coping?
At this juncture, I think we all just numb. The family's numb. If Jamie was sick, understand, if you've seen someone being sick in hospital, blah, 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 but not someone that you were with a couple of hours, just like that, gone. So the family is trying to cope, trying to deal, but one thing about death is it's inevitable, and it's only going to hit probably Monday after the funeral, because he'll be laid to rest in Cape Town on Monday. So I think it's just a matter of learning to live without him, learning to speak about him in the past tense, as I said, and just trying to live through another day without this great, a man, a machine, a thespian, an artista. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. Last night I was at the house with Rosa. It's not easy,
Yeah.
You find yourself driving and just crying as if you are listening to Celine Dion on the road. It's mind-boggling. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
But as Shakespeare said, what's done cannot be undone.
You say that, and it's such a sad moment, but we also hear celebrating, a great person, a great thespian, as you say, and those moments bring us to laughter. I don't know where you came up now with Celine Dion driving, crying about Celine Dion, but you know what? I'll ask you about that at some later stage. Why Celine Dion makes you cry? But Prasilo, if you look at the young generation, what can they take?
Yeah.
What lessons can they take from this great actor who is no more?
I will go back to that very same thing of saying that he was someone who had his subconsciousness under his skin. And if there's anything that maybe the young actors could carry out, learn from Jamie, is that when you play a role, basically you are actually allowing yourself to, in fact, you are just presenting yourself as a vessel. And what you do is you embody, you let the life that, is on the page, and you give an interpretation, and an interpretation so close to, what other human beings understand, that they get touched, and through you, they see either their foibles or their strengths, their doubts and their fears. And in Jamie's performance was never black or white, but it actually showed the shade of gray that is in life. And it is for you to actually identify your own strength of gray or your own strength of blackness. And even talking about, color, black and white or whatever, Jamie, he was a white man, but he never lived like a white man. You actually never saw color in him. I mean, how special he is. He has a black spokesperson from his family, and I think for me that is just so representative of Jamie. You know what I mean?
In life and in death.
Exactly. One of the things that I always say is that, our space as actors is always limited by language. You know what I mean? And, and I've been even making, proposal to say, I don't know, as far back as, it's 20 years ago, where I've even approached, not 20 years, maybe 15 years, that I approached and I said, you know what, actors need to be trained so that they become multilingual. Because if you look at all the performing arts disciplines, you look at music, it's easy to fuse. You look at dance is easy to, to create a fusion. But where we always hit a mark is when we have to deal with language. And the thing is, actors, if they are actually trained from their young days to be multilingual, we will cross that barrier and we will actually it will be social cohesion on two legs. And we will be representing the human condition and the cultural landscape of this country.
Brasilo, Zola, you guys will understand that we need to cut at this point. Unfortunately, we could go on forever, but unfortunately, this is it.
This is a condolence for the whole nation, and for those who have loved Jamie. We have all lost a great soul.
Indeed, we have.
He was a coat hanger,
Zola?
and he's hung the coat and he's buttoned up.
We cut. We'll pick up at another stage. But thank you so much for helping us remember and reflect. That was spokesperson for Jamie Bartlett's family, Zola Hashatsi, and fellow actor and friend of Jamie Bartlett, Sello Maake Ka-Ncube.
What a beautiful, beautiful remembrance.